Welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. During the college football season, we highlight draftable players which match up. Our goal is to cover the draftables, the players that are 1 to 400 on our initial big boards, and we're hoping to show which players are improving draft stock before the Senior Bowl kicks off draft season. General disclaimer, none of the players discussed have officially declared for the NFL Draft. This episode is going to focus on the Tennessee versus Oklahoma matchup this weekend. So that's one of the many matchups this weekend that is between two ranked teams, 6th ranked Tennessee, 15th ranked Oklahoma. Let's jump in, and we have some very good players in this matchup. Likely first-round grades right at the top for both teams. So let's start with James Pearce Jr., the edge from Tennessee. Okay, so James Pearce Jr., if we scroll really far down the list for Oklahoma, we can see Michael Tarquin, an offensive tackle from Oklahoma, and Jacob Sexton, another offensive tackle from Oklahoma. So I have a draftable grade on Sexton. It would be a day 3 grade. But this would be a great matchup for Sexton to improve his draft stock. He's going to be going up against an elite pass rusher. In some people's cases, Pearce is edge 1. And in some people's cases, Pearce is a top 5 player in the draft. I have Pearce a little bit further down, but he's still going to be one of the first 2 edges taken in the draft, I believe. So Sexton has a chance to really show what he can do. And like I said, even further down the list, Michael Tarquin could also improve his draft stock just by showing up against Pearce and playing highly effectively. And then if we look a little bit further down for Tennessee, the next players, we have John Campbell Jr. So John Campbell Jr. and actually Jacob Sexton, ironically, they have a very similar ranking on my board. They're right in the middle of day 3. So definitely a draftable player. But we have John Campbell Jr., an offensive tackle from Tennessee, as well as Javonte Spraggins, a guard from Tennessee, and Cooper Mays, a center from Tennessee, going up against some draftable defensive linemen from Oklahoma, which would include Dason McCullough and Demonic Williams. So I really like to see an offensive line, defensive line matchup amongst draftable players. Specifically, I tend to focus on the lower ranked players. Can they improve their draft stock? They have a lot to gain by playing well. Because, for example, if John Campbell Jr. plays well, could he improve his draft stock by 60 places? And that pushes him right into the 4th round type thing. And to me, a 4th round offensive tackle is significantly different than a 6th or 7th round offensive tackle. That's kind of how I look at it. Let's look a little bit further down and let's talk about the wide receivers from Tennessee. So let's talk about Brew McCoy, Squirrel White, 2 wide receivers from Tennessee, and they're going to be matched up against Gentry Williams, a corner from Oklahoma, and Billy Bowman, a safety from Oklahoma. So on this board, I have Bowman outside the 3rd round, but on other boards, I have Bowman as one of the 3 or 4 best safeties in the class. And the question is he going in round 2 or is he going in round 3? So this is definitely a good matchup for Bowman. And then right above him, Gentry Williams as a corner. This is going to be a deep corner class. Every game matters for every corner. Show that you can play consistently. I have seen some boards where Brew McCoy is a top 100 player. I think he's a little bit out of the top 100. That's personal opinion. However, I respect that we all evaluate players differently. So if Brew McCoy is really a top 100 player and he's matched up against Gentry Williams, who's sitting just outside of the top 100. That's a great matchup right there. Okay. And then if we go a little bit further down and we look at the wide receivers from Oklahoma, okay, we have Jaleel Farouk and we have Jaden Gibson, 2 wide receivers from Oklahoma. And one of the things I like about both of these guys is that they can be ex-receivers at the NFL level. Farouk, 6'1", 204. Jaden Gibson, 6'5", 193. Those are both a size that NFL teams will like. So let's look at those Oklahoma wide receivers and then just kind of see how they do, because they'll need to show out in a game against a ranked opponent for them to improve their draft stock. So that's something that I would be paying attention to here. So my name is Jim. I'm with NFLDraftFanatics.com. You can find me on Twitter at NFL Draft Fanatic. So I'll put that banner on the podcast here. So at NFL Draft Fanatic, there's no I in Fanatic on Twitter or X. And I will be posting significant draft content. We post this podcast every day, usually around 3 to 5 Eastern time is when this podcast runs. In addition to that, you will see other draft content that will have positional rankings. We'll talk about our draft simulator. And with the NFL Draft Fanatics simulator, it is the only interactive mock draft simulator. Interactive, what does that mean? That means that when fans use the simulator, it changes the big board. So there's technology built into the simulator to see who the fans pick, and the players you pick move up, the players you don't pick move down. Very simple algorithm there. And if you have any questions on that, feel free to follow me on Twitter, post on Twitter. Again, I'm at NFL Draft Fanatic. And remember, this is the Mrs. R Relevant podcast. We run this every weekday. And remember, every day is draft day if you have the right attitude. My name is Jim with NFLDraftFanatics.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great day.